Yo guys, Theo here on Common Sense. Today I'm gonna tell you how to make fasting easier, a lot easier. And I'm gonna take an angle you might not expect, but maybe if you've been hanging around for long enough, you'll expect me to take the uncommon sense approach to things. Standing out here on my balcony because, well, at this time there's just too much people moving around, or rather kids specifically. They like to ruin my videos. It's happened multiple times, but I want to get some sunlight, so I'm standing here on the balcony. So look, as I often do, I'm going to talk about fasting here, but it's a bigger point that you can apply to many other things. But okay, fasting, the problem people have with fasting, even people who never tried it, is that they're only thinking about what they're missing out on, getting to eat. That was what you miss out on when you're fasting. So many people, when they started interviewing me about the fasting, I'm like, yeah, I sometimes go for days without eating. I just drink water with the salts, sodium, potassium, and some black coffee. They're immediately like, no, I couldn't do that. I get hangry. I get in such a bad mood if I don't get to eat every 4 hours. And of course, people don't say it that way, every 4 hours, but if they don't get to eat for long enough, and I'm just speculating that it's something like 4 hours. There's a lot of things to be gained from not having to eat all the time. That's what you have to realize. It's all about how you frame things. So, for instance, I did a fast this Christmas that I planned almost 5 days, and I planned to do it. I synced it with having a lot of computer work to do, just a bunch of sitting in front of the computer working. And I think doing that kind of thing, eating is an annoyance. It's a disturbance. Having to take that break, prepare the food, eat it. You have to clean up the mess you made when you cook. If you're anything like me, you make a mess cooking, and your energy. You're now in a parasympathetic rest and digest state. You might lose your focus from this, and so I was happy not having to deal with that and just being able to focus on my work. And I also view the fasting as actually a nootropic, performance enhancing in this sense, because when we don't get to eat, our senses actually gets turned up. It does make sense, like in harsher times when we weren't spoiled with grocery stores everywhere and food just being so readily available. When the body notices that you don't get energy from the outside, it actually turns up the senses to put you in a hunter state, make you more capable and able to go get food. And now that we know that the food is right there, if we want to, we can channel this focus into something else. This work on the computer I did, for instance. So you see, this fast, I had no problems with it. I didn't think for a second that I'm missing out on eating. I'm happy not having to deal with it. And I'm gonna take a few other examples that might not apply to you, but just to kind of broaden your perspective here. That I'm currently bulking. I'm training to put on weight. And if you don't know, this is how I do it with a fasting and training, that I take some months where I don't do any prolonged fasting, because I've noticed that the more advanced you get, the harder it is to get in prolonged fasting on like a phase when you're trying to gain muscle. So I do only intermittent fasting for a few months. I'm trying to gain weight, and then I have some months where I do some longer fasts where I don't really train for I train for maintenance when we're talking about building muscle, and maybe go more for skills and mobility and stuff that you don't really have to gain weight to make progress with. But so I'm bulking right now, and I'm fucking sick and tired of having to eat all the time. Like, hunger is not something I had to deal with a lot because I've done so much fasting, but I usually have an appetite, but right now I'm so fucking tired of the food. My body is like, I've had it with this, it wants to fast. When I haven't eaten my maintenance calories yet on some days, I'm like, I realize I have another meal to eat and I don't feel like it at all. And I see it as an annoyance that I have to eat. And also recently I got sick. I got the COVID finally. Very mild symptoms, but still symptoms. And I had to stay home from the gym because there's old people going there and stuff. I could do some training because I was so very little sick, but not as usual. And I, of course, because I just went outside, didn't walk to the gym and all that, just moved less. And usually if I got sick during a time when I'm not bulking, I would just be like, okay, I eat less. It would be nice. not having, because often eating just isn't as enjoyable when you're sick. But now I had to fucking eat like it's a job, because I'm having a hard time gaining weight from this point, even forcing it. So if I take a break from it, I'm definitely, most likely, gonna regress in that area. So look, maybe you don't have the same goals as me, getting big, getting as muscular as you can and stuff. But I just want to bring you the perspective that there are upsides to not having to eat, and it's all about how you frame things. Look, when you've never fasted, it's just psychological. I remember when I was starting it, I was never a huge food addict, but of course it's just mentally, you think about it, like I'm not eating, and because you think about it so much, it makes it harder. But the more you do it, like, first of all, like with anything, anything you do repeatedly, you get better at. It will get easier, but especially as you do it and you can see these upsides, and you can actually, instead of, okay, now I have a fast I have to get through, you be like, I'm gonna fast, so I might as well take the chance to, do something like what I did there. I have a lot of computer work, I have paperwork shit to do. I have this thing, I've been putting up this task that's kind of monotone, but then I lose my focus and extra time I have when fasting on doing, or cleaning out the whole fucking apartment, or whatever. You have to reframe it. That's how you make things easier. That's like, to take another example, I said again that this point it's a bigger point really, but with drinking, for instance, nowadays, I used to feel like a little bit when I got into this whole fitness thing that I'm missing out on something. I don't get to drink as much because I had to lose weight, and your muscle gains will be better. Alcohol inhibits those two. I felt like I have to not drink. I have to lose out or not drink. But the more it went by, and I was in situations where I usually would have, been drinking more and been hungover the next day. When I wake up the next day, after very used to, after whatever I'd done, to be hungover and have low energy, and waking up and being energized and feeling good, I was like, yeah, I gained this from not drinking. You understand? So it's all about flipping the perspective. And look, it's going to get better and better, because sometimes it's always like going on a diet, even if you're not doing fasting, for instance, but for losing weight. Before you can tell that you're losing weight, like on the scale, but even in the way you feel or what you see in the mirror, it feels a lot like you're missing out on something. But when you can see what's happening, and you are like, I like how I'm feeling now, I like how I look now, then you can see it as, I'm not losing out on eating a bunch of shit, I'm gaining this nice experience that I'm getting. And so this is something that's just going to have to come further down the line. It's good to know. It's the same with training, when you're not used to it, training and building muscle. It feels like I have to go to the gym, I have to do this. I miss out on not doing it, I miss out on just being comfortable here, watching TV or whatever. But after a while, when you like the way you feel from your new healthier lifestyle, you like the way you look, then it's, I get to train. What a luxury, People didn't always have access to this. People didn't, they had to use their bodies, so we go way back to survive. And I actually get the chance to go and pick and choose what I want to do in order to build my body. What a privilege, So, started out talking about fasting, ended up talking about a few other things here. But do you see the point? It's all about framing the thing, framing. And of course, it's very difficult to do right from the start with many things. If you've never fasted, you're just gonna have to feel like you're missing out on something for a while. But use this video as like inspiration. Go looking like, okay, I feel like I'm missing out on getting to eat right now, but what am I gaining, and you will, when you start looking for these things, you will be able to reframe it. I mean, I guess I'm all done now, but fasting at this point, I never feel like it's something I have to do, I mean, like I'm missing out something doing it. It's thoroughly an enjoyable experience for me. It's when I do the fucking dry fast without my stimulants, the addictions I still have, snooze, nicotine, and the caffeine. When I do my dry fast to reset that I do sometimes, I feel like I'm missing out on something. and I had to just use willpower. But apart from that, that's kind of an extreme thing, you know. I never feel like I'm missing out on something. And it was the same thing. Let's bring up that as a final point. I quit the snus, the nicotine, for a while. Then I brought it back, kind of by choice, because I wasn't feeling too well. I needed to treat myself with something. Yeah, when at first I felt a lot like I was missing out on it, but then when I realized how little money I was spending, that I was spending so much money on this thing that I now don't have the same craving for, I felt I'm gaining this, you know. So yeah, always look for a way to reframe things into something positive. Don't just look at, I have to do this, I'm missing out on this. See what's the upside to that. There's always an upside. So please guys, like the video. If you found it helpful, please leave a comment. All comments and likes help support the channel, so it's very much appreciated. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, and common sense takes on everything you could ever imagine. Okay guys, I will see you later. Peace.